Okay, so naming really simple from the beginning. Thing number one, if this is that's chlorine, so that's chloride, chloride. All right, so that's really easy, yes? Now, where it gets ridiculous is when you start to add oxygen to things. Okay, where it gets weird is you've got something like this. All right, what is the name for that? I don't know. Here's the deal. That is chlorate. All right, that is chlorate. Now, how do I know that is chlorate? Because if I look up on the periodic table, which would be off screen, you look at most of them, if you look up here in this tower, where this is helium, all right, this bunch we don't have to worry about because they don't form compounds. This bunch here, the halogens, their most common ion is the O3 ion, so like chlorate. All right, so if that's chlorate, if we go down one, this is what? Bromium, so it's brome-8. All right, if you go down to iodine, that is iodate. Okay, makes sense? The most common one is the O3 ion. Now, if we go over a little bit, you're going to see a box here where you've got silicon and phosphorus and sulfur, and we come down for these guys you'd hardly ever see. But the point is those guys in particular. All right? Those, the most common ion is going to be the O4. So this is sulfate. Okay? And this, oops. Hold on. Is phosphate. Okay? So, the first step in this, the only step that's the memorizing part, is learning that this box here contains things where the O4 is the most common ion. The rest around it, like if you come up here above it, you go to this, that's what NO3 is. You might have seen that one a lot first year. That's nitrate. Okay, if I'm writing too small, I recognize that some of you are starting to squint, so let me. All right, nitrate is good. All right, so the first step is you've got to learn what the most common ion is. All these guys are O3s, that's the 8s. Nitrate, you'll just learn that one. All right, you come over here, CO3, 2 minus, that's called carbonate. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's the memorizing bit. Now, once you learn the system, all those other ones that are on the chart that I'm going to steal from Emily are all there. You don't have to memorize them. Watch. Okay? So if this is chlorate, if we take one oxygen away, instead of being chlorate, it's chlorite. Did anybody tell you this first year? Probably not. You just said memorize all these stupid little ions. All right? Now, if we go even above 8, all right, what is it? What is above? If you're more than something, if you're higher than something, you're more energetic, you are hyper, like hyperactive, like me, all right? Hyper. So to say something is above is, instead of saying hyperate, it's perchlorate. So you take that hyper and just use the per bit. So this ClO4, just to make sure it's clear, that would be perchlorate. Okay, so that's its name. If we go one lower, ClO minus, what's below? Hypo. Okay, you guys might have heard of this. You ever heard of a hypodermic? Okay? There's a couple of different ways to give people injections. One way to give somebody an injection is to go straight into a vein or an artery. Okay? So you actually go for the vein or the artery. That's a specific target. Okay? And that's, in those cases, you want it to go straight into the bloodstream, or you're trying to do take a blood sample. So you do a venous thing where you find the veins. And how many of you given blood? Okay? If at some point once you're 16 you're willing to give blood, it's always necessary, it's always needed. So you give blood, you go into a vein. Now, anybody in here use an EpiPen? If you were to do that with an EpiPen, you'd be dead. No, seriously, the quantity of epinephrine that would go into your system and go straight into your heart and brain and lungs, I think it would kill you. If not, it would do permanent damage. All right? Just like if you actually took an EpiPen and accidentally injected, you know, they always tell you don't put your thumb on the end just in case you're on the wrong end and you inject it into your thumb. I saw a picture of a guy's thumb after he injected an EpiPen into his thumb. It swelled up to like multiple times its size, and they had to amputate. It damaged the blood vessels and all. Okay? So hypodermic, what do you do with a hypodermic needle? You run it right up under the skin. Doesn't go into a vein or an artery, you just run it right up under the skin. Okay? So hypo is right under. Hypodermis, why dermis? What's dermis, guys? Skin. So hypoite is one more below it. So this would be hypochlorite. Okay? You see that so far? Is good? All right. So, please to try the following. What if I asked you NO2 minus? What's its name? Nitrite. Okay. What if I said SO3 2 minus? Sulfite. Because remember, it's in the box. Okay, so if SO4 is sulfate, SO3 is sulfite. All right. What if what if I said PO5 3 minus? Perphosphate. Perphosphate. You good? Seeing where it's going? Okay. So if we look at the whole chart that you were probably given in first year chem, a lot of it is chlorate, chloride. You know, you've got all these names, and we could basically take 80% of them out as long as you've learned what the most common ion is. That's your 8. And then if you go 1 up or 1 down, or 2 up, 2 down, you can figure out what the thing should be. The name. Is good? Now, are there a few that don't follow this convention that you have to memorize? Yes. What are they? Okay? Yep, the ones that kind of came into existence early. What's that? Please have that memorized. Right? It's the entirety of the acid-base unit. What's this? Ammonium. Make sure you say ammonium, because this is what? Ammonia. That's a gas. All right. This one's a weird one. This has 2 names. The old name is bicarbonate. Very good. I got all these down. Did you memorize these last year? Sophomore. Wow. It's good. That makes my job so much easier. All right. So these are a few common ones that you're not going to see, that they don't fit the naming. But this is also more nowadays they try to use hydrogen carbonate. All right. Make sense? Okay, if you could stop that for a second.